Hello and welcome to Certified Essential Oils with Becky. I'm your host, Becky. Woohoo! Today's topic is Copaiba Essential Oil. And I want to point out that I am a doTERRA wellness advocate and that these statements that I'm going to share with you have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. And they are not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and none of the results are typical. So I want to share with you my most recent story. Oops, I pushed a button. Sorry about that. Okay, so our most recent story happened last night. My kids are running through the house. Have your kids ever done that? Mine were running through the house, getting some excess energy out before going to bed. Somehow, one of my son's fingers got caught in the door. If you've ever done that, you know how much it hurts. The first thing we did was get some ice out of the freezer and put it on the injured finger. He's like, "Mom, this isn't doing anything." So we applied 2 drops of Copaiba Essential Oil and slathered on a generous amount of deep blue rub and had him rub it in. There was plenty extra just sitting there, so he just sort of rubbed it in every so often for the next little while. And like almost within seconds of applying Copaiba and deep blue rub, there was an instant look of relief on his face. And that basically told me everything. But he came out and said, "Hey, this works so much better than the ice. I love it. I can't even tell I hurt my finger." So he said that he was fine for the rest of the night. And he went to bed just fine. The next day, when I looked at his finger, it really didn't look bad to me at all. Yes, I could tell something had happened, but it wasn't like all black and blue and yucky looking. It wasn't all huge or anything like that. It just looked, you know, like something had happened, but I couldn't quite tell what. If I hadn't been there, I wouldn't have known. So anyway, today he had guitar lessons and piano lessons and soccer and PE at school. He was grateful it wasn't football because that starts next week. And he made it through the day with his finger just fine, and it still looks pretty decent. I mean, you could tell something happened, but you can't really tell what. I mean, and quite honestly, at the end of the day for school today, I had to look really hard to even tell which finger he was talking about. I couldn't actually remember. Now, I didn't take any before and after pictures because, well, you don't take before pictures because you don't know what's going to happen. But I didn't take any pictures like right after it happened or this morning or this evening. When it happened, I was more like, I just want him to have comfort. So it didn't even cross my mind until I was creating my presentation. So let's move on to what is Copaiba. Copaiba is derived from the resin of the Copaiba tree. Native Brazilians have used it in traditional health practices for a long time. Copaiba can support much of the body, including the cardiovascular, immune, digestive, nervous, and immune systems. Basically, what I would do is add 1 or 2 drops of Copaiba to any beverage to support my overall health. You can also incorporate the oil to your skincare routine to reduce the appearances of blemishes. Now, here's my next story. This is like my big reason for using Copaiba, okay? Sometimes I get a little bit stressed out, or my woman's moon cycle can cause extensive day-stopping pain. In those situations, I used to use peppermint essential oil, but over the last couple years, I started to notice that when these day-stopping painful events were happening, I also felt cold. I took my temperature and I had no elevated temperature. I actually had a reduced temperature. So I didn't want to add to that feeling of, that chilly feeling by using peppermint. So I was really grateful when I found out about Copaiba. Copaiba does not have a cooling effect. It comes from the resin of a tree, like I said before, rather than the cool peppermint plants. And what I do in these situations is I put a couple of drops under my tongue, and I usually put some on my forehead, on my temples, and on the back of my neck along the spine. Some people like to put it in a capsule. I haven't done that yet. I have felt no need to. I didn't mind the taste. Some essential oils have a taste I would be more than happy to live without. Copaiba is just fine for me. Your feelings might be a little bit different than mine. Anyway, the really cool thing is this allowed me to relax, and the tension was calmed so that I could rest. And rest and drinking water is like a big deal. Another thing that I found is it calms my stomach's angry response to the head tension. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, but that's kind of a big deal. That makes your head tension get worse when you have an angry response from your stomach. Now, here's a story that isn't quite mine, and I'm not even going to share the story with you because doTERRA and the FDA want us to be compliant when we're sharing stories, and I just don't know how to be compliant with this. So I'm just going to say that this gal, I believe her name is pronounced Melianne. I could be mispronouncing it, and Melianne, if you happen to watch this, I'm so sorry if I just messed up your name. Okay, but what's really cool is that you are 2 years episode free. I have a relative who has a similar challenge, and that is like a huge deal because after a certain amount of time, you have more freedom to do things that the rest of us take for granted, such as driving. So anyway, your blend that you've been using, from what I understand, is 10 drops of each, Copaiba, Balance, and Lavender, plus 4 drops of vetiver in a 10 milliliter roller bottle with fractionated coconut oil. And that you rolled it over your heart, in the back of your head and your hands. You put on your hands for inhaling as needed. So if you're going to inhale essential oils, you put like a couple drops in your hands, rub them together, and then you cup it around your nose. Another common approach is to put it on one of your hands and then rub it together, and then kind of make, like, let's say you're holding your hand up to show somebody 0 or O, and then you put it on top of your other hand. And some people say it kind of looks like you're inhaling from a bong. And then you inhale. Okay, it makes a big difference. So anyway, that is her protocol. Now I want to talk about how to incorporate Copaiba into doTERRA's wellness pyramid. doTERRA's wellness pyramid is basically a lifestyle that a lot of people, whether they're part of doTERRA or not, follow. The foundation of this lifestyle is to eat right. That's the first step. The next step is exercise. And the third step that we'll talk about today is rest and manage stress. There are 3 more steps that we're not going to follow today. One of them is reduce toxic load. That one we're not going to cover. We're not going to cover informed health care and proactive medical care. So let's talk about eating and healthy right. Eating right, okay? One of the things that I did this year, which is 2019, to eat right is to find out what my body could not tolerate very well. A lot of people haven't taken that approach that I know of in my circle. What I did is I had some lab work done to find out which kinds of foods and environmental things I just don't do well with. And I got a whole list of them. I decided to just take the 2 that my body tolerated the least. And I took them out of my routine, and I discovered that this loud, smelly gastrointestinal discomfort that started happening within like the last 5 or so years gradually diminished. I thought that that was a part of growing older and just a part of life. I mean, and it came on so gradually, I just thought, this must be part of getting older because I'm in my 40s. I just didn't know. But it turns out that it was caused by food my body didn't know what to do with. So I also was using Copaiba to soothe discomfort of my gut, which allowed me to eat and digest food with ease. Next, the next step is exercise. Copaiba can support healthy inflammation levels. I did not know that it was important to occasionally have inflammation. There's healthy inflammation and unhealthy inflammation. So if I were to scuff my knee, I would have to have some inflammation to make it so that my body could repair itself. Inflammation also allows us to know that we are doing something that we need to stop. If we don't, we could cause a serious injury, okay? Now, some inflammation can come from eating foods that your body doesn't tolerate and other unhealthy scenarios within our body, okay? So anyway, Copaiba can help us to support a healthy inflammation level so that we can be active and do more things. So why is it important to be active and exercising? Well, one of the things that flexing our muscles as we walk or go for a walk or swimming or whatever we're doing is it helps to flush our lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the circulatory system does, and so all that stuff can get clogged up in there. And so exercising the muscles helps get that stuff moving along. It also helps to release some chemicals within our body that helps us to feel good. So what are some protocols for supporting healthy inflammation levels in the joints? Well, at doTERRA's convention, Dr. Andrew Goff shared these protocols. I'm going to show you a few here for healthy inflammation levels in the joints. First of all, he agreed with me. You got to crowd out any pro-inflammatory foods. What is pro-inflammatory for me may not be pro-inflammatory for you. So find out what those things are. Second, support your system with the Lifelong Vitality Pack. Deep Blue Polyphenol, that's really great for my knees that sometimes like to make noise as I go down the stairs. DDR Prime soft gels and Copaiba soft gels and turmeric soft gels. I will do at some point an episode on each of those. Just know that they all support healthy inflammatory levels in the joints for now. Another oil protocol is to massage 2 drops of Copaiba and Deep Blue Rub over the hands morning and evening and as needed throughout the day. So if you're using a computer, you might want to use it on your wrists, especially if you have bad form as you're typing on the computer and using your mouse. Some people don't have the right kind of setup, and so then they end up with irritated muscles and joints and other things inside there. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not even going to attempt to explain all the things that are in there. So, and the AromaTouch hand technique, you can learn about that on aromatouch.com. The next protocol that he shared that can also help support a healthy, regular exercise routine is the protocol for respiratory support. So anyway, one of the ways that I like to support my respiratory system is to diffuse. So I prefer to use a diffuser, and one way to do it is to do 2 drops of each, Copaiba, Breathe, Serenity, and On Guard. That can help you to sleep and breathe well. Then During the day, you could do 2 drops of Copaiba, 2 drops of green mandarin, and 2 drops of Breathe. You can also get an empty 10 milliliter roller bottle and add 10 drops of each Copaiba, green mandarin, and Breathe. You can dilute it with fractionated coconut oil or your favorite carrier oil, and then you can apply it over the chest and your hands as needed. Then, remember that bong I talked about earlier? You know, with your hand making like the O shape and putting on top of your other hand? Well, you can make a fist on that hand, breathe through the fist in deeply as possible and hold for a count of 5. Then breathe out. Now, here's the next thing. I found out at convention that Dr. Andrew Goff has a similar product outside of doTERRA that I love to use. I love to use the NeilMed Sinus Rinse. Now, prior to convention, like about a week or so prior, I had something going on in my forehead, and I was using the NeilMed Sinus Rinse. I was thinking, man, I hope I can get rid of this before convention. I don't want it to prevent me from going or being able to get the most out of it. And I was thinking, man, if only there was an essential oil I could put in my sinus rinse. But I was a little nervous about that idea because I had learned before that you don't really want to put essential oils in your ear canal or in your nose and your eyes. So I thought, well, maybe that might be a little dangerous. I don't know. But Dr. Andrew Goff happens to be an emergency room doctor, and he's suggesting that you can add 1 drop of Copaiba to your nasal rinse morning and night as needed. So after I heard that, I was anxious to try it, and I did. So what I found was that my sinus passageways, my nasal passageways were cleaned out just like they normally were before I tried his protocol. And they were relieved of tension, and I happened to feel pretty calm. My sinuses felt pretty calm. Now, Copaiba has a light scent compared to other essential oils. Like, I was considering what would happen if I were to use Melaleuca. And I was, you know, now that I've tried Copaiba and really thought about it, Melaleuca might have smelled kind of funny for a while. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but that was my first thought. For putting it in my nasal rinse. Anyway, I did not experience a long-lasting smell afterward, and I actually thought it felt pretty good. And I've continued to do it as needed. So I've heard people say that they're too tired to exercise. I've even said it myself. But I've also noticed that once a regular exercise routine has been established, that I feel like I have more energy and I actually crave it. In fact, my moods are better and I feel better about myself. It just makes a big difference about my state of mind. Which brings us to the next step in the pyramid, which is manage stress and rest and relax, okay? Yeah, rest and manage stress. That's the part of the pyramid. So, just about everybody I know has a lot of stress in their life. Most of the time, it's completely unavoidable. I mean, you can't just stop going to work. You need to pay the rent or the mortgage. You got to put food on the table. You just can't avoid it, okay? So, even if you can work from home, that has its own stresses. Like, I work from home, and well, that also makes it so I don't get the human interaction as much. I could put myself in a bubble and I'd get even less human interaction. But that in itself would cause stress. So no matter what you do, there is always going to be stress, okay? It's unavoidable. But I like to put a couple of drops of Copaiba under my tongue in the evening. It helps calm that stressful feeling. It's almost like it washes it away, and I just feel really relaxed. And when my mind is just full of things that stressed me during the day, it's like a big dark cloud or whatever you want to imagine it as, it's almost like it just blows it away. It's gone, and I can just sleep. Then the next day, because I got a good night's sleep, I'm better able to manage the stress of the new day. So, let's talk about the science of emotional aromatherapy. I don't want to go into major detail with this, but you know, if you have a good memory associated with a smell, and then you smell it again later, you often can remember that special memory and evokes feelings of happiness. Okay? And there's this little part in our nose that receives the smell, and it's like right underneath a part of our brain that processes that smell. It has like a direct connection to that part of the brain, and it can bring almost an instant return of that memory. Okay, and so the side benefit is it also helps promote balanced emotion. So if I were to diffuse those essential oils for like respiratory support or for something else, or you know, I put on those oils on my skin for healthy inflammatory levels in the joints, I'm going to smell them, and it could elicit some sort of emotional response. Hopefully it's good. I tend to use the ones that bring back those great memories. Thank you for participating in this episode. I'm grateful you came, and I would love to chat with you more about essential oils and doTERRA products. If you have any additional questions or would like to talk to me more in depth about how Copaiba could help you in your particular situation, please visit my website at certifiedpureessentialoils.info, and you can reach me there. Thank you, and we'll see you next Monday. Goodbye.